The words of Shinran Shonin. When a person realizes the mind of non-discrimination, that attainment is the state of regarding each being as one's only child. This is none other than Buddha nature. We will awaken to it on reaching the land of peace. So these words of Shinran Shonin, the founder of the Jodo Shinju Hongwanji tradition, speak to us today, more than 700 years later. I think Sensei needs new glasses. I can't see the screen. I'd like to ask you to take a moment to look at this poster. First, I'd like to give credit to the artist. Kala, or Kalayaan Mendoza, is a wonderful graphic designer and artist, and he's also a fellow Buddhist. He's created versions of this poster for Asians for Black Lives, Nikkei for Black Lives, Philippine X for Black Lives, etc. And when I asked, Kala enthusiastically created this version, Buddhists for Black Lives. So please feel free to share this image, and I can send you the original artwork. And if you feel value in Kala's artwork, please support him with a token of your appreciation. You can send money by Venmo at Kalayaan Mendoza. So this poster is intended to trigger a response. What do you think and feel when you see this image? Buddhists for Black Lives. No justice, no peace. So many of you watching this Dharma talk may identify as Buddhist, and you might agree with the sentiment that this poster expresses. Black Lives Matter, which reminds us that systemic racism and social inequality continue to plague our nation today. Other people may interpret this as only Black Lives Matters, which excludes other races and ethnicities and identities. And this could trigger a response like, I will not support your politics, I will not support terrorists. And that's a real comment that was expressed on Facebook page for Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, which I take, as it's intended. So it would be all too easy for me to argue with this person, to teach them the true meaning of Black Lives Matter, to challenge them for their sense of entitlement, to accuse them of being un-Buddhist, to assert my authority as an ordained priest and temple minister. But debate and argument are not the solution to the challenges facing our nation today. All lives matter. So there's another perspective which says, yes, but all lives matter. Right? It's morally correct compared with, Black Lives Matter, which again, some people feel is exclusionary. And the Black Lives Matter movement agrees that all lives matter, but argue because blacks have historically faced systemic racism, institutionalized racial profiling, and today suffer disproportionately from COVID-19 as a disease, and unequal access to health care. And disproportionately, they are required to work as essential workers. They don't have the option to stay home. They don't have the option to stay home. They risk their lives every day, and they risk the lives of the people they live with every day. Which again, which might trigger an argument about who's right. Who's right? Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. If you really want to debate the semantics of this phrase, for example, smarty pants guys like me, we might argue that from a Buddhist perspective, the line should be all life matters, right? Especially from a Buddhist perspective. But my intention is not to spark a debate over semantics of Black Lives Matter, or to try to assert that my opinion is more correct or more important than that of other people. But I hope this poster causes all Buddhists to pause and think. Pause and think. Soon after I uploaded this poster to social media, a Makawao Hongwanji member asked me a very profound question. Yes, but what can I do? So regardless of your interpretation of Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter or All Life Matters, the real question is not who is right, but what can I do? As Buddhists, we can go to the Buddha for guidance. We can go to the Dharma for guidance. We can go to the Sangha for guidance. So let's return to the words of Shinran Shonin. When a person realizes the mind of non-discrimination, that attainment is the state of regarding each being as one's only child. This is none other than Buddha nature. We will awaken to it on reaching the land of peace. So what is the mind of non-discrimination? In Japanese, the characters are pronounced Byodo Shin. And in this translation, it's translated as the mind of non-discrimination. So let's look at the characters individually. So first, Shin, which some of you know is also read as Kokoro, which refers to both the heart and the mind. And thus it is referring to a perspective that has both an emotional basis and a rational basis. The first two characters, Byodo, literally mean equality or equalness, and it's interpreted here as non-discrimination. Buddhist philosophy talks about cultivating the non-dualistic mind, the mind of non-discrimination. Because the Buddha's fundamental insight is that the human condition is to see the world from the perspective of, it's about me, it's about me. And the Buddha's core teaching is that suffering, dissatisfaction, and disappointment are caused by our human attachment to me, to my ego. So living life as if it's about me, right? The more we cling to the false notion of self, the more we will experience suffering, dissatisfaction, and disappointment. And this drives the three poisons of anger, greed, and ignorance, and the other blindly self-centered attitudes and beliefs that cause mental or physical suffering. The 108 bonno, the 108 blind passions, which afflict the human mind and body. So Byodo is, from Amida's perspective, from the Buddha's perspective, is absolute equality. And this is found in the echo that we sing every Sunday at the end of sutra chanting. So, Byodo se isai, or the line that goes, is shared equally by all. So the equally part is Byodo. So the mind of absolute equality, the mind of non-discrimination, the non-dualistic mind. So the mind of non-discrimination, the mind of equality, the heart and mind that says, it's not about me, it's not about me. So this is what Buddhism is trying to teach us. So Reverend Senmo Yamamoto, one of my most important mentors in Japan, taught me to think of discrimination in this way. There's two ways to look at discrimination. One is horizontally, which is seeing differences, right, between things, between people, between things, between thoughts, but without judgment. So seeing things horizontally, right, seeing differences without judgment. And vertically, which is when the human ego sees differences with judgment. Good, bad, rich, poor, and yes, white and black. So vertical discrimination, right, seeing differences with judgment, results in racism, supremacy, nationalism, and conflict. Everybody wants to be on top. Nobody wants to be on the bottom. So inequality in society based on skin color or education or economic opportunity, this is what's driving today's protests. So the heart-mind of equality is the goal of all Buddhist practice, and indeed the elimination of inequality in our society is the only solution to the protests and violence that we see today. The question is how. So Shinran's words make this easier to understand. The heart-mind of equality is the state of regarding each being as one's only child. So note the expression, each being. So this means all life, all forms of life, everything that makes our lives possible, including the oceans, the land, the trees, the flowers, the animals, the fish, even the rocks. Right? Everything that makes our life possible is each being. So we must regard each being as our only child. So not only does this mean treating other people, including people who are different from us, as our only child, but also looking to the ocean, the land, the trees and flowers, the birds, the animals, the fish, looking at all life as being our only child. So destroying the environment is destroying our only child. Discriminating against someone because the color of their skin is different is discriminating against our only child. So if you think of this state of regarding all beings as one's only child, if you think about it as unconditional love for all life, no discrimination, no judgment, isn't this truly the definition of aloha? So the answer to the question, what can I do, is we have to cultivate aloha for all life. Shinran further equates the state of regarding each being as one's only child to Buddha nature, the inherent potential inside all beings to become Buddha, to awaken, to realize enlightenment, to achieve nirvana, to be born in the Pure Land, to realize oneness with Amida Buddha. The Buddha nature inside your heart mind, this is what lets you, this is what allows you, this is what empowers you to live aloha for all life. What makes Shinran's teaching so relevant to the causes, conditions, and situations of modern life, our life today, is the final line. We will awaken to it on reaching the land of peace, when we are born in the Pure Land. In other words, after we die. So Shinran's view of the human condition is that the human beings are hopelessly attached to our ego self. And we could all agree that the state of regarding each being as one's only child is the ideal world. But we find it impossible to actually live our lives that way. So does this mean that there's no hope, for our society? Does this mean that we are forever doomed to thinking and feeling, oh, those foolish people hoarding toilet paper, or it's those darn tourists who are causing COVID-19 and they're bringing it to Hawaii, or those Black Lives Matter protesters are all rioters, they're all terrorists, or all police officers are brutal racists, or the politicians are all stupid. So it's one thing for us to think this way, to say these things, and to act this way. But it's another to recognize that the potential for overcoming this, right, to realize the mind of equality, to live aloha for all life, the inherent potential to realize this is inside of ourselves. Yes, we will not become, right, the mind of non-discrimination, the heart of great compassion like Amida Buddha, until we are born in the Pure Land and then we return here to help others. But the point being that you can assure your birth in the Pure Land in this life through Shinjin, through faith, And it is faith that overcomes fear. Right? So I see myself discriminating vertically, so with judgment. I do this every day, despite my good intentions, and despite my being an ordained Buddhist priest and temple minister. But I also feel the pain and suffering of so many people today. I feel the fear that is driving anger, greed, and violence in our nation. I see the fear that is growing in my heart and my mind. I want to do something. I want to change the world. But what can I do? When you look at this poster, what do you see? I see the Nembutsu. I see Namo Amida Butsu calling out to me, take refuge in Amida Buddha. Take refuge in great compassion. Take refuge in infinite wisdom. What do you see when you look at the crest of the Hongwanji? Do you see things in black and white? I'm right. You're wrong. Or do you see things in white and black? You're wrong. I'm right. Or do you say, I'm colorblind. I don't see color. And all three perspectives are correct. Everyone sees things differently. And the heart-mind of equality, Amida's mind, makes no judgment. This is just the way that we are. But think of it this way. Think of the heart and mind of equality. When you see a rainbow, what do you see? When you see a rainbow, what do you see? When you look at a rainbow, do you see all the colors mixed together? Scientists will tell you that all the colors mixed together is the color black. So if we refuse to see individual colors just as they are, we don't see rainbows. Or do you see no colors? Scientists will tell you that the absence of all color is the color white. So if we refuse to see individual colors, insist that we are colorblind, then we don't get to see rainbows. Buddhism teaches us that when we see each individual color just as it is, each individual color shining brightly together, shining in solidarity with every other color just the way they are, and shining together in harmony, then, and only then, do we see rainbows. Another person might say, I see a rainbow against a white background. And they'd both be right. Children, our precious keiki, ignore the background completely and joyfully say, I see a rainbow. Do you see a rainbow? Yay! We all see rainbows. So illuminated by the all-inclusive light of wisdom and inspired by the all-embracing heart of compassion, which is given to us by Amida Buddha, then and only then are we enabled to see rainbows everywhere. Because faith overcomes fear. The Nembutsu, right, overcomes fear. Namo Amida Butsu overcomes fear. Amida Buddha's compassion and wisdom overcomes the fear in our human heart and the discrimination, the vertical discrimination that exists in our mind. Right? And when we receive faith, when we receive when we're embraced by the heart of compassion and our mind is filled with the light of wisdom, then we say the Nembutsu of gratitude. We say Namo Amida Butsu in gratitude because we see rainbows everywhere. Each moment of every day. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So just say Namo Amida Butsu. Shinran's teachings of the Jodo Shinshu Hongwanji tradition begin and end with just saying Namo Amida Butsu. Take refuge in Amida Buddha. And if saying Namo Amida Butsu isn't for you, that's okay. Just say mahalo. Just say thank you. Mahalo for this unrepeatable life. Mahalo for all life. Mahalo for the colors of the rainbow, just as they are. Mahalo, Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Let's chant the loving kindness metta together, the words to which may be found on the screen. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come.